What is a Bitcoin ETF? How is it important? And how does it affect the price of Bitcoin? Well, we're going to talk about that. Just talk about how the whole thing unwinded. Very interesting story. Like Andre Jake said, we'll make an interesting Netflix series. So the SEC, or from the SEC's account, there was a tweet that went out that said spot Bitcoin ETF had been approved and the price of Bitcoin went to the moon. A couple of hours later, there was now another tweet from Gary Gensler, who is the SEC chair, to say that that original tweet was wrong. Obviously, that tanked the price of Bitcoin. Next day, the SEC publicly announced approved the price of Bitcoin, which is a whole mess in itself. Apparently, they actually approved not the price of Bitcoin, they actually approved the spot Bitcoin ETF, which affected the price of Bitcoin once again. Anyways, interesting saga, but to backtrack a little bit, Grayscale, a major company, has been trying to file its Bitcoin ETF for the longest time, and the SEC denied them without giving a real legitimate reason for denying them, and the federal courts felt like it was wrong. Cut a long story short, ultimately it was approved, and not only did Grayscale, eventually a whole bunch of companies have gone crazy listing their own Bitcoin ETFs, and we'll talk about that. After this was published, Gary Gensler made a public statement, and he said that even though the SEC has actually approved this Bitcoin ETF, he said, while we approve the listing and trading of certain spot Bitcoin ETP shares today, we did not approve or endorse Bitcoin. Investors should remain cautious about the myriad risk associated with Bitcoin and products whose value is tied to crypto. So we know between Chairman Gensler, Elizabeth Warren, they are not really big fans of Bitcoin. We have established that, we know that. But it's just very, very exciting. So really, the first question to ask, and as defined by CoinDesk, what really is an ETF? So an ETF, or Bitcoin ETF specifically, are publicly traded investment funds that enable investors to gain exposure to Bitcoin without actually owning the actual cryptocurrency. This is very, very important. Institutional mainstream investors have been very skeptical about buying Bitcoin for the longest time. One, because of the fluctuating price. Two, because of there hasn't been certain regulatory clarity, and for the fact that this has been approved by the SEC, it's a game changer. So unlike cryptocurrencies that are traded on crypto exchanges, according to CoinDesk definition, ETFs are traded on traditional security exchanges such as New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. So when you invest in a Bitcoin ETF, you are not directly buying Bitcoin itself. Instead, you are buying shares in a fund that holds Bitcoin. So this regulated investment vehicle is designed to make it easier for traditional investors to gain exposure to Bitcoin's price movements without having to securely buy and store digital currency, elevating the technology hurdles of investing in crypto. This is powerful. So how do Bitcoin's ETFs work? So according to CoinDesk, once again, they function in a way similar to traditional exchange-traded funds you might be familiar with. Just to backtrack a little bit or to digress, same thing with gold. People didn't have access to gold. It was very hard to buy gold. Even to today, it's kind of, well, I won't really say it's hard. I used to buy gold at one time. Not that I said used to. Don't come and try and rob me. But I used to buy gold at one time. It's very complicated. You have to buy gold. Not really complicated. Well, you have to go through a process. If you want it to be custodied, or if you want to ship it to your house, you worry about, is it going to get lost in mail and all that stuff. So it's interesting buying gold. So as opposed to buying physical gold, gold was securitized, where you don't necessarily have to own the asset, but you can buy gold through a security. And this is exactly what's going on with the idea of an ETF. So the ETF issuer, like Grayscale or ARK or all the other ones, and we'll go to the list. They are an asset management company that buys the underlying assets and securely stores it with a custodian. So the custodian in this case, which is something to worry about, or the largest custodian is Coinbase. So Coinbase has the skills, has the technology stack to be able to hold your Bitcoins for large institutional investors. We're talking about billions of dollars valued in Bitcoin, and they can actually custody it on behalf of institutional investors. So in this case, Coinbase is the custodian, and then vehicle, the company, Grayscale or whoever, are the ones who actually, or the asset management company, they're the one that issue the fund to provide investors access to underlying assets, in this case, which will be Bitcoin. So, I mean, there are a lot of people right there. I mean, we have ARK Invest, we have Grayscale, we have Charles Schwab Bank, we have Fidelity, so many, and I'll just put a link below of all the players in this space. Who knows if all of them will survive? Who knows who all of them will go under? But according to some news that things that I've been watching in the news, I mean, some of these institutions have gotten large inflows in terms of billions of dollars ever since this announcement was made. So if you look at this list, you have two kinds of ETFs. You have the currency asset class, and we have the ones that are the equity asset class. Now, why this is important, I don't give financial advice, but I also want to say this very clearly. I am not investing in an ETF. I don't plan on buying any ETFs. I'll tell you what I do personally, what I've been doing at the end of this video. But so the equity ETFs are kind of like stocks. So they kind of like stocks, like how you track a stock that tracks the S&P 500 index, and they are categorized by market capitalization, investment style, investment strategy. So that's really what an equity ETF is. But currency ETFs, they invest in the currencies of various countries that are typically used by investors probably from the price movements of a given currency. So in this case, the currency is Bitcoin. So you have a security ETF or you have a currency ETF. Well, that's just worth noting. Anyway, so what does this mean to the price of Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin going to go to the moon? Well, different predictions. According to Cathie Wood, who is the CEO of ARK Invest, who also, by the way, has released their own Bitcoin ETF. She believes that the price could be as much as $1.5 million for one Bitcoin by the year 2030, which is just insane. She has a bullish case where she believes it could be that price, and she also has a more bearish conservative case, which still lands around $258,000 to $682,000 for one Bitcoin. And as the time recording this video, it's just $40,000 from a Bitcoin. This is just insane. Remember when I got into Bitcoin in 2012? No, was it 2015 or somewhere around that time? And I remember it was, or 2014, 2015, it was about $600 for one Bitcoin. And people are like, oh my goodness, the train has left. I can't make money from Bitcoin again. And it's just so exciting. And I've done a video about this called Cryptonaires, which your focus in buying Bitcoin should not necessarily be about becoming a millionaire, becoming a billionaire. It's about investing in what I believe is the future, and by investing in the way that the world is going to go in terms of having a digitalized asset that is public, that is borderless, that is permissionless. I can send money or do transactions to anybody anywhere around the world without having to worry about the underlying exchange rates or intermediary banks. So that concept of Bitcoin is powerful. Plus, you can get paid. Anyways. But I don't give financial advice, so I'm not asking you to buy Bitcoin. I'm not to buy Bitcoin. So Cathie Wood's bearish case is that it will be around 258,000, but a bullish case is going to be up to 1.5 million. A lot of people have made predictions. Andre Jake did a video recently. He talked about what happened to gold when gold was securitized, and how the same thing can kind of happen in the Bitcoin case. And there are other people who have made predictions about Bitcoin, which is just exciting, which is just fascinating, which is just brilliantly amazing. So what do I do? What do I think? I think that price should not necessarily be your focus. Your focus should be, and I don't give investment advice, but I think invest what you are willing to lose. Think about it as something that maybe what you spend on a latte, or what you spend on, I don't know, whatever it is, money that you're willing to lose, you can invest it in, buy as much crypto as you want. Like I said, I don't give investment advice, but I do believe in this technology. I'm really very excited about it. I wish I could sell my life savings and go and buy Bitcoin. I've done that before. I did a video. I'll put a video before. I think as opposed to investing in a Bitcoin ETF, just buy Bitcoin. That's what I would say. And when you buy Bitcoin, if you do decide to buy Bitcoin, I wouldn't leave Bitcoin on an exchange. What I would do when I buy Bitcoin is, and I'll do a subsequent video about this, how you can buy Bitcoin if you live in the United States through CashApp or even through Coinbase, is to buy your cryptocurrency and immediately transfer it into a hardware wallet, whether it's Ledger X, whether it's SecuX. You just need to know your public address, and you can just do a simple transfer, even from your Cash app, and I'll do a video about that. You can buy, or even from Coinbase, you can buy your crypto assets. Once you bought your Bitcoin, you can transfer it straight into your cold storage, which is a HardWallet, and I'll put some links below on some videos that I've done about that. So it's a very, very exciting time. It's interesting to see how this will play out. I know there's some conversations about how there is going to be an Ethereum ETF launched. We'll see how that will go, but I just love what's going on in this space. It's brought fire and fuel back and excitement back into the crypto space that has been really quiet for a very long time. So it's interesting to see how this will play out. We'll continue to follow this and see which of these ETFs survive, which die a natural death. And also, like I said, I'm going to do a subsequent video on how, if you choose to buy Bitcoin, how you can just buy Bitcoin safely through one of these major exchanges like Coinbase or through CashApp, and then you can transfer that into cold storage, and you don't have to worry about somebody custodying it or keeping your Bitcoin. You can keep it for yourself, which is exciting. Anyways, that is all I have. Until next time, my wish for you is that you learn more about cryptocurrencies, because crypto is changing and will change the world. And those who get involved early, in my personal opinion, will greatly impact the future. And if that is you, let's go change the world.